Hi, fourth grade. Today we are starting chapter 10. I'm actually going to go over everything that you would need to know for lessons 1 and 2 of chapter 10. So get out a piece of paper and a pencil and open up your textbook to page 302. Look at reference 151. Reference 150, I'm sorry. And you can read that to yourself. It says rules for making nouns plural. But if this gets confusing and you don't understand it, you can just watch the rest of this video. I'm going to explain what it's saying. This chart that I have up here, I took straight from your textbook. It's in pink in reference 150. Please look at that. That is really the most important thing that you need to know from this lesson. It has all of the rules for making nouns plural. You need to know these rules. So you're going to need to try to memorize them, learn them as best you can as we keep practicing them throughout this chapter. All right, so the first rule says add S to nouns without special endings. This one you already know, so this you don't even have to memorize. You just know this. So for regular old nouns like dog, you just add S to the end. I have 2 dogs, right? Regular old noun. Okay, but then there are other nouns where you have to do some different things. So the next part says add ES to nouns with these special endings. So number 2, CH, SH, Z, S, SS, or X. If a word ends with any of these endings, you have to add ES, and it just makes sense because if we have a word like dress, do you see how it ends with 2 S's? We wouldn't want to just put an S at the end because then the word would be dress. No, that doesn't make sense. We have to say dresses. Same thing with a word like coach. We can't just add an S to the end and say coaches because of that ending, that CH has that similar S sound, so we have to add ES so that it says coaches. Or fish, right? We can't just say fish, we have to say fishes. All right, the third one says a consonant plus O. So if you have a word like potato or tomato, we can't just add S, we have to add ES. Number 4, a consonant plus Y. Now this is a little different because if we have a consonant plus Y, like buggy, we can't just add ES, right? You probably are already familiar with this rule. No, you have to change the Y to an I and add ES. The 5th rule, if the word ends with F or FE, change F or FE to V before adding ES. So if you have a word like half, we have to change the F to a V and add ES. Halves. I have 2 halves of a pie. The next one, number 6, it says add S to nouns with these special endings if it has F or FF. Like roof. We just add an S. Number 7, a vowel plus O. So if we have a word like portfolio, we have a vowel I plus O. So we're just going to add an S. A vowel plus Y, like valley. We're just going to add an S. Do you see how these are different from numbers 3 and 4? If it has a vowel plus O, you just add an S. If it has a consonant plus O, you add ES. If it has a vowel plus Y, you add S. If it has a consonant plus Y, you change the Y to an I and add ES. Rules for making irregular nouns plural. Change the spelling completely for the plural form. So this is if we have an irregular noun, like woman. For this, to make woman plural, if we're saying there are 2 women in the kitchen, we want to change the word completely so that it's en, just like we change man to men. Number 10, spell the same for both the singular and plural form. So if you have a word like deer, the plural of deer is deer. Okay, so those are all of the rules. You just need to make sure you are following them as you are completing your Shurley English work. So you can go ahead and work on classroom practice 48. I'm going to show you how to do classroom practice 48 for the rest of the video, so if you need any help, you can watch the rest of the video or just the part where you need help. For this, definitely check with the video to make sure that you get everything right for the skills section, because all of that will be on making nouns plural. This is classroom practice 48. Exercise 1, classify each sentence. Devin's pet snake escaped its glass cage yesterday. What escaped its glass cage yesterday? Snake. Subject noun. What is being said about snake? Escaped. The snake's escaped. Verb. Snake escaped what? Cage. If we're answering snake escaped what, it's a direct object. Let's verify the noun. Does cage mean the same as snake? No. It's receiving the action because it was being escaped from, so we know it's the direct object. Escaped, then, is the verb transitive. What kind of cage? Glass cage. So glass is an adjective. It's describing the noun cage. Whose cage? Its cage. Its is showing possession. It's also describing. So it's a possessive pronoun adjective. Escaped when? Yesterday. If we're answering the question when, it's an adverb. Words like yesterday and today and tomorrow are usually used as adverbs. What kind of snake? Pet snake. Pet is describing the noun snake, so it's an adjective. Whose snake? Devin's. We have an apostrophe S here, so it's possessive. It's a noun, and it's describing, so it's an adjective. It's a possessive noun adjective. We don't have any prepositional phrases. This one does not have an indirect object, but it has a direct object. So it's subject, noun, verb, transitive. Direct object, pattern 2. It has an exclamation point, strong feeling, exclamatory sentence, E. Let's go back to the verb, escaped. Let's divide the complete subject from the complete predicate. Devin's pet snake is the complete subject. The rest is the complete predicate. Sentence 2, the weary, thirsty riders dismounted slowly beside a small stream. Who dismounted slowly beside a small stream? Riders, subject noun. What is being said about riders? What is the action? What did they do? They dismounted. It's the verb. Riders dismounted how? Slowly. If we're answering how, It's going to be an adverb. Also, it ends in ly, and it's describing the verb dismounted. So slowly is an adverb. Beside is always a preposition. Beside what? Stream, object of the preposition. What kind of stream? A small stream. It's describing, so it's an adjective. A is always an article adjective. The is always an article adjective. What kind of riders? Weary, adjective. What kind of riders? Again, thirsty, another adjective. This one is, we're just back to our original pattern. Subject, noun, verb, pattern 1. We have one prepositional phrase. Beside a small stream. We have a period statement declarative sentence. So we have a D for declarative sentence. Let's go back to the verb. Dismounted. Let's divide our complete subject, the weary, thirsty riders, from the rest of the sentence, which is the predicate. Dismounted slowly beside a small stream. All right, we are done with that sentence. Number 3, did your mom and dad offer you an increase in your allowance? Who did offer you an increase in your allowance? Mom and dad. So we have 2 subjects here. We have compound subject noun for mom and compound subject noun for dad. What is being said about mom and dad? Mom and dad did offer. Offer is the verb, but we have another verb here, did. It comes before the main verb. It comes at the beginning. It's a helping verb. Mom and dad did offer what? Increase. If we're answering mom and dad did offer what, this must be a direct object. Let's check to make sure. Does increase mean the same as mom and dad? No, it does not. Increase is a direct object. That means offer is a verb transitive. Mom and dad did offer increase to whom? You. If we're answering to whom, that means this is an indirect object. And it comes in between the verb transitive and the direct object. So we know we got that right. An is always an article adjective. In is always a preposition. In what? Allowance, object of the preposition. Whose allowance? Your. If we're answering whose, that means we're showing possession. It's also an adjective describing. It's also a pronoun. So it's a possessive pronoun adjective. The word and is always a conjunction. Your, again, it's showing possession. It's also describing. It's also a pronoun. It's a possessive pronoun adjective. In your allowance is a prepositional phrase. The sentence has a direct object and an indirect object, so it's subject noun, verb transitive, indirect object, direct object, pattern 3. The sentence is in inverted order because it's a question. So we have part of the predicate at the beginning. So let's start by dividing the sentence where the main verb is, right? Because everything after and including the main verb is going to be your predicate. Your mom and dad is the complete subject. Did is part of the predicate because it's a verb. So we'll double underline that, and then we'll double underline the rest of the complete predicate. And we have a question mark, question. It's an interrogative sentence, so write INT. All right, and we're done with that part. Let's go down to skills. Exercise 2. For each noun, write the rule number and the plural form that follows the rule. Some nouns have 2 acceptable plural forms, but you should use the plural spellings that can be verified by these rules. This rule chart is the exact same one that I showed you earlier in the video. It's also the exact same one that you looked at on page 302. So use that as you're completing this. You have to look back in that chart. Okay, number 1, cup. What rule does cup follow? Well, it's just a regular old noun. It doesn't have any of these weird endings, right? It just ends in a P. So it's just your regular rule number 1. And so the plural form is cups. How about fly? Well, a Y should right away tip you off. That's going to be a weird ending there. So let's go to rule number 4. Consonant plus Y. So we have rule number 4. And rule number 4 says that we need to change the Y to an I and add ES. So flies. Dress. 2 S's at the end should tip you off that this is not normal. So let's look at rule number 2. Rule number 2 says we need to add ES. Dresses. Goose. This also looks weird, right? We have like 2 O's in here, an S and an E. This is completely abnormal. This is completely irregular. So it's actually rule number 9. And for rule number 9, we have to change the complete spelling of the word. The plural of goose is geese. There were 7 geese by the pond. Foot. Again, we have a double O here. This should tip you off that it's probably pretty irregular. Let's look at our rules for irregular. It follows rule number 9 because it's completely irregular. For foot, we have to completely change it and make it feet. Trolley ends in EY. So that's a vowel plus a Y. That's rule number 8. And so for rule number 8, we actually just add an S, which is pretty easy. So trolleys. Halo. Well, it ends in an O. Okay, let's look at rule number 3. Rule number 3 says it has a consonant plus O. It does. L is a consonant plus O. That means we need to add ES. Halos. Number 8, child. Child is just a completely irregular noun. We're going to follow rule number 9. And the plural of child is children. Video, we have a vowel and O. So let's look for the one that has a vowel plus O. It is number 7. So for that, we need to just add an S. Rule number 7, and we add an S. Videos. Number 10 is wolf. So wolf ends with LF. It has an F at the end. We need to follow the rule number 5, which tells us that we need to change the F to a V and add ES so that it becomes wolves. Chimney. Chimney is a vowel E plus Y, EY. So that's rule number 8, a vowel plus Y. So for a vowel plus Y, it says we just add S to the end. So chimneys. Number 12 is half. For half, we have an L and F, just like wolf. So we're going to look at rule number 5. For rule number 5, it says that we need to change the F to a V and add ES. So it is going to say halves. Roof. Roof follows rule number 6 with an F at the end. And we are just going to add an S to the end of roofs. To the end of roof and make it roofs. Deer, well, the plural of deer is deer, so we know that that's following rule number 10. The plural of deer is just deer. All right, and we're done with that chart. And now you can do the editing. It says use the editing guide to help correct each mistake. Underline the explanatory words. Sentence number 1 has 15 mistakes, so let's go ahead and look for them. Let's start by underlining our explanatory words. No, I can't go to the ball game Friday night, Rick answered sadly. We are going out of town. Rick answered sadly. Those are our explanatory words. Now let's put in our quotation marks. We have explanatory words in the middle, so we're going to need quotation marks around the first part and around the second part. Okay, the next thing we'll do is start at the beginning and, of course, capitalize the first word. It's the first word in the quotation marks, and it's the first word of the sentence. No. Anytime we start with a word like no or yes, we have to put a comma after it. No, comma, I, of course, capitalize, I. Can't is a contraction, so we need an apostrophe. Go to the ball game Friday. Friday, of course, we need to capitalize. It's a proper noun. Night. We have explanatory words at the end of this quote, so we need a comma before it and before the quotation marks. Rick, we need to capitalize. It's a proper noun. Rick answered sadly. Well, this is the end of the first sentence, so we need a period at the end. Rick answered sadly, period. We, capitalize the first word, are going out of town. We need a period at the end of this next sentence, and the period, of course, goes inside the quotation marks. So period and then quotation marks. All right, and we are done with that one. Let's count our mistakes just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we have them all. Number 2. The fans shouted, "We want a touchdown. Get tough Panthers." All right, our explanatory words are the fans shouted. Let's put quotation marks around our quotation. We have explanatory words coming at the beginning. So we would need a comma after those explanatory words, of course. Let's capitalize the first word. The fans shouted, comma, quotation marks. Capitalize the first word. We want a touchdown. This is the end of the sentence. And it's showing strong feeling, so let's put an exclamation point there. Move that down a little bit. There you go. Get tough Panthers. Let's capitalize the first word of the next sentence. Get tough Panthers. Panthers should be capitalized. It's a proper noun because it's the name of a team. And again, we need an exclamation point at the end of this sentence, but inside the quotation marks, right? So right here. All right, let's count our we have one more. I just noticed. Get tough Panthers. We're directly talking to the Panthers, just like they would be a name of a person or in this case, a group of people. So we need a comma right here because we're directly addressing them. All right, that should be all. Let's count our mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, good. We have 11. All right, number 3. Yes, I am highly allergic to cats and I can't be around them, moaned Denise. Let's start by underlining our explanatory words. Moaned Denise. And let's put our quotation marks around our whole quotation. We have explanatory words at the end this time. Capitalize the first word. Oops. As we had before, when we're directly addressing somebody and saying yes or no, we need a comma after it. So yes, comma, I, capitalize I, am highly allergic to cats. And I oh, you know what? We have 2 independent clauses here joined by a conjunction, but if we're going to join 2 independent clauses with a conjunction, we also need a comma because you have to have a comma and a conjunction to join the 2 independent clauses. So yes, comma, I am highly allergic to cats, comma, conjunction, and I can't be around them. Can't is a contraction, so we need an apostrophe. And of course we have explanatory words at the end, so we can't forget we need a comma right here at the end of the quotation, but inside the quotation marks. Moan Denise. Let's capitalize Denise, proper noun. And we need a period at the end of the whole sentence. All right, let's count our mistakes. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, good. We have 12 mistakes, and that is all.